Hello everyone! I'd like to welcome you guys back to just another wonderful video. So for this video, I have one question I'd like to ask you guys. Have you ever sat there with yourself and looked at the colors in your art and realized, they look kind of bland? Ever tried to have a mood expressed, whether it's happiness, whether it's fear, whether it's a character showing off a dark expression, or whether it's your character feeling sad overall, and you're not able to effectively express it? Have you tried to incorporate a type of lighting during the day, whether it's dusk, whether it's dawn, whether it's a sunset, or whether it's you trying to draw a mid-starry sky at night, and for some reason you're not able to effectively create the lighting for that specific time of day or that specific artwork that you're working on? In order for us to truly grasp this concept, we need to understand what color theory is. And that's what this week's whole focus is on color theory. Now, looking back at my art, as we can clearly see here, I obviously have a lot of comfortability with things more like perspective. I tend to be more comfortable with trying to study anatomy. I tend to be more comfortable with certain things. While I still need to work on them, I feel more, you obviously see in my art, and I feel that I am more comfortable with those certain areas of my artwork. Now, one area that I oftentimes struggle in, as you guys can see here, especially in my last video where I'm drawing a nighttime scene, yet everything seemed too vivid in order for you to effectively capture the nighttime scene. You instead see more so of a area that's supposed to be dark, but instead it seems much more light than it's supposed to be. While the mood was still effectively captured, it felt off, and then it felt way too rigid, and then it felt like the background really contrasted with what the character was trying to make you feel, or the expression behind it. Now, while I may need to work a lot more on expressions, on character feelings, and maneuvering my background to match what I'm trying to feel, that was one thing that I felt like I need to work on. Now, let's look at color theory. So, in order for us to look at color, they'll really take time out to look at color theory, we need to first understand what is a color. Now, a color obviously is how light kind of reflects off in different pigments to our eyes and the way it appears. So let's not get all scientific. Colors are oftentimes divided up into several different categories, and these basic categories are what many top world artists tend to use in order to describe colors. And in color theory, you'll be using these four categories: hue, value, saturation, and chroma. Now let's go in deeper. Let's go in a deeper discussion about each of these categories so you're able to understand it better. Now, when me learning these colors during this week, it was a very interesting way. For hue, the hue of a color is the identity of a color. The hue is basically just what the color is. If your color is red, the hue of it will be turned to a red color. If your hue is green, then your color will be green. If your hue is blue, then your color will be blue. The hue of a color is where it places on the color wheel as identity of a color. The value of a color is how light or how dark it is. So how close it is to white or how close it is to black, it depends on its value. And that's how you would get your highlights and your shadings from. The saturation is how intense a color is, or how pure a color is. I like to refer to it as purity because when you're having a saturated color, if you were to look at this color wheel over here, all the saturated colors are over to the right. The more saturated colors are over to the right. Saturation refers to how pure the actual pigment is. If you want your color to be more saturated, you need to move over to the right because you want your color to be not be mixed with any other color in the color wheel. In order to ensure this, obviously you have to go over to the right. The more right you go, the stronger the saturation will be. Now, next part is chroma. Chroma refers to how visibly strong or powerful the color actually is on the canvas. Now, chroma is basically, if you were to have a color and you have a pigment, the highest, brightest natural pigment you can have with that color, that is the max chroma it has. That's so if we look at this color wheel once more, you will see on the right side you have saturation, but on the top right hand corner of this entire color wheel, you will notice that has the max chroma. And that is because when looking at a color wheel, you notice that color, that max chroma right there, is the strongest, visually strongest version of that color that we're able to access. Now, while that may be the max chroma, each color has a different chroma value. So chroma values come in different forms. They come in high, medium, or obviously dark value. So if we were to take examples here, yellow has a high chroma value, which means if you were to line it up with a gray and basically monochrome it, you would find that it goes gray at a very, very lighter scale. If you were to go red and you were to place red has a medium value, which means the gray will have to be at a medium-ish darkness when it's monochromed, so that you're able to effectively capture the value of red. While blue, on the other hand, has a very dark value, which allows it to be a very, very dark gray, as you see here, and when you basically monochrome the actual color. Now, though we have all these 4 categories down, the next and one of the important parts that a lot of people don't tend to understand about color theory is there's also a part we kind of miss, and is color relativity. Now, basically, to put in perspective what color relativity is, you ever watch those videos where an artist will go, "Oh, you thought this was gray and it turns out to be orange," or "You thought this was blue and it turns out to be a gray color." The reason why they're able to perform this is because color relativity is based off our perspective on how the color appears to us. We tend to perceive colors depending on the colors they are next to, and the colors, and obviously the values of the colors that they're around, which allows us to essentially be deceived if someone understands color relativity. Some colors may perceive to be other colors that they're not. But in the same process, you can't take an orange, place it in one area that makes it look gray, and then place it in another area and expect it to look the same. It's not going to, and only is perceived that way based on the colors we place it next to. So due to that, you would have to essentially understand which color you're placing your colors next to in order for you to, be able to effectively get a good color relativity. Now, another reason, another area that artists tend to do to break up their color relativity to make it easier, which is something I learned I am starting to try and do now after studying this week, is to divide up their colors by temperature. Now, while we may be familiar with warm and cool colors, oftentimes we tend to forget to effectively divide up our wheel, so we use the warm and cool colors so the colors actually are able to complement each other. Henceforth, for me, I tend to struggle with certain areas, and you might be struggling with certain areas as well. Well, you might be watching this video because we're both struggling. That happens. Well, if you look at the color wheel that we have here in Clip Studio, you can see that the color wheel is yellow at the top and is a purple at the bottom. If you were to divide up the color wheel, you are able to roughly get warm and cool colors. But the issue is, no one knows exactly how to properly divide up the wheel so you get the best warm and cool colors wheel that you can have. It's a major discussion between the art community, and a lot of people pick certain ways they could divide it up, and a lot of people are comfortable with certain ways you could divide it up. So there is no like real set answer, but if you divide it down the middle though, you get a set idea of exactly where the warm and cool colors are. The warm colors, of course, are the colors that are closer to red, which give off a warmer temperature, such as at the beach, as a hot day, and when you're in the Wild West. You know, those photos where it's at the sunset, or other things where it's supposed to be more of a warmer environment, you would actually see more colors closer to red, like orange. You would see yellow. You would see just other shades that are closer to red. Now, on the contrary, the cooler colors are the colors closer to blue, which is what you normally see when an artist is trying to depict sadness, trying to depict a darker night, or trying to depict any environment that is cooler and more relaxed, or like a waterfall, for example. They would have to use cooler colors for that. Now, the thing about using color theory is you would have to learn on how to effectively use the warm colors. Unfortunately, I'm not the best at drawing this, and I still have to practice it a lot, so I can't give you an exact on how to do this, but I can let you know that it is possible, it is feasible. Now, one thing I learned from an amazing YouTuber called Picat, I thank you so much for this tip, I really do appreciate it, is you can walk from a color to another color, or pass from a color to a color. Now, in order for you to do this, let's take a look. So if we look at yellow and we wanted to get the blue, which are across the color wheel from each other, so they would naturally complement each other. In doing so, we would have to reach this median point. And this median point is gray. Now, when we're reaching this median point where everything is completely saturated out and we're able to effectively take the yellow and pass it over to blue, we need to go through the median point. If you want to test this out, like as you see me doing here, you would take yellow, you would draw a line of yellow, and then you would take the blue directly across. You would turn the opacity way down. From there, you would run over the yellow lightly, and you will slowly go down. As you see, the yellow, it goes from yellow to a darker yellow to a grays, and it slowly gets more and more gray until it reaches the median point, and then you see it starts turning over to blue until it reaches the desired blue color. This happens because as you go through the color wheel, when you're walking from color to color, especially they complement from each other, then your color will take the shortest possible path in order to get to that color. The best way to put it is if we were to use two of the same colors, two warm colors, for example, let's say we wanted to go from yellow to red. If we wanted to do yellow to red, we would have to go on the outer side of the color wheel and go straight across. That way there is no saturation involved with the color, and the color is able to just go with the max chroma. Therefore, when we do the same process again, it transfers over from a yellow to orange to red. So that way the pigment stays prominent, it stays strong, and we don't have to worry about it transferring over as much. It just stays the nice, comfortable color it is. So I thank you, Picat, for that. That was very, very helpful. Now, along this week's journey, I can firmly say that color theory is complex. It obviously seems like something that you would have to take a long time to work on, which I will have to take a long time to work on. It is not something that you could get done right away. I would still need to work on perspective. I still need to work on my anatomy. But getting done color theory definitely will help out with how things are perceived. So really work on this, because especially if you're doing expressions or you're doing a certain mood with your art, being able to work and manipulate the colors to match whatever your mood you're feeling or how you want the character to be expressed definitely helps. And as somebody like me, who you can clearly see draws different expressions or different moods that really set the scene to kind of draw you in a certain emotion while you're looking at my art, it really helps to learn something like this, as it would be a deep help for me in the future, especially when I start turning more over to animations and 3D and stuff. Being able to learn color theory, being able to learn how to do perspective and anatomy correctly will definitely help. But color theory is definitely a big one for me. I struggle with this a lot, and if you guys struggle with it a lot too, or you're just trying to find anything else, you can help with you improve with color theory wise. This is what I learned. I hope this helped you guys a lot. I did try to take a lot of notes and try to help you guys out a lot. Color theory is complex. It definitely takes quite a bit of time. I'll probably see how good I am in about like 3 months time. See how good my color theory is. Well, again, I want to thank you guys for love and support. Thank you guys for watching the video. It's been a very great honor in order for me to allow you guys to be here. It's been good. Thank you guys again for the love and support. You guys are amazing people. Thank you guys again. For you guys that are drawing, please continue to draw. Work on your color theory. It's going to take some time, and it's a bit of work. It's not easy. But one practice I can recommend is find a reference online. Instead of you going through the regular sketch layer, try to replicate the same art, but just through lights and darks instead. It's something obviously you see me trying to do more often now. Instead of just me jumping straight to the sketch, I want to start trying to have my flat colors and have more blobs and stuff down. I could draw the sketch, draw how I want things to work, or I'm trying the method where you draw a sketch, you fill in your flats, then you remove the line art, and then you have to draw everything else based on the light, shadows, and temperatures and everything to essentially create the 3D shape without having the line art carry your art in itself. So you're kind of forced to draw the art how the art needs to be perceived without the line art kind of carrying you through. So then you could do like another line art, but just add like the darker version of the skin tones or of the lightings or different things, so your art kind of looks more glossy or more softer. It's kind of to help. I just wanted to practice that, so I was able to help. So in case I were to add line art back, that could work. These are several methods. Not the best at either, but I will try. I'll progress, and next week I'll definitely show you guys my effort trying this. I'll try to draw something small, something simple, but using the method I just explained, I will try my best to replicate a 3D model. 3D models. Crazy work. Ignore exactly what I just said. Oh my god. But man, this is what happens when you work too much. Oh man. Well, thank you guys for watching today's video. Enjoy the rest of your day. Just continue working on color theory and continue working on what you need to work on. You'll get better at art, and I hope to improve with you guys. Thank you guys again for watching. Please like and subscribe, and enjoy the rest of your day, guys. See ya.